Ah, fuck. Hold on. I'm coming. Shit! Ah! Game don't wait. But can't be late. I'm up. I'm here. Okay, we got a mod pie. You know what makes this show so great? Rarity's head wobble. I'm actually serious. See, the thing about animation is that what makes it special as a medium is how it can express things that real life has trouble with. And I don't just mean that it can give us a world full of magical talking horses, because a comic book could do that too, but it can give us this kind of subtle characterization and humor. We already understand through the script how Rarity is overly dedicated to communicating through fashion, and that her hat is causing problems. But we understand it on an even deeper level, seeing how Rarity can't even keep her head straight. That Rarity doesn't even seem conscious of how the hat is affecting her head tells you about her dedication, because she probably is willing to suffer physical duress in the name of perfectly contrived fashion all the time. And this incident is just one in a long list of examples of how MLP utilizes the medium of animation to the fullest, and that's what makes it such a top-class cartoon. But anyways, this episode isn't about giant hats, it's about a rock farmer, and fuck, it's hot in my room. Let's take this conversation somewhere cooler, please. This may come as a surprise to some of you, but I used to be a total elitist prick. I held my own taste in higher regard than anyone else's, and I looked down on the lowly noobs who didn't share my vastly superior knowledge, especially when it came to anime. It happened a lot in high school and college. People would tell me, "Oh, you're into anime? I'm into anime too." And I'd say, "Oh yeah? What shows?" Naruto, Bleach, Elfen Lied. At this point, I'd be calling them a poser in my head. "What shows do you watch?" they'd ask. Mostly stuff you've probably never heard of. And then the conversation would peter out. See, interests are multifaceted. It's easy for two people to say that they have the same favorite thing, but they often will like that thing for completely different reasons or in completely different ways. Take, for instance, someone whose favorite show is My Little Pony because of how much they love Applejack and her sexy boots, versus someone whose favorite show is My Little Pony because they love reading Luna headcanons. In spite of sharing a favorite show, it's entirely possible that these two will have nothing to talk about with regards to the subject. So you'll see how Pinky's assumptions that the main six will get along with her sister out of shared interests are wrong-headed. Yes, Maud likes nature walks, but all she sees is rocks, whereas all Fluttershy sees is animals. Maud likes fashion, but whereas Rarity is a hardcore fashion otaku sporting the Legend of Galactic heroes of the fashion world, Maud is attached to the Naruto of the fashion world and isn't really interested in venturing far beyond that. And this is fine. In fact, the real fallacy that comes from thinking of Maud as having a lesser fashion sense is that in reality the senses aren't comparable. Fashion is not one thing. It's a word that describes several different realms of reality. There's fashion, which describes a certain highbrow culture, and then there's fashion as we interact with it on the personal level. Just because I can't walk onto a runway in my bathrobe and MLP pajamas doesn't mean that I don't care about the clothes that I'm wearing, so it's not inaccurate to say that I might be into fashion even if my idea of fashion isn't the same as someone else's. What I'm getting at here is that we shouldn't be too quick to claim that we share interests just because our interests share certain traits, but we also should respect that other people have different ways of engaging with things that we like, and that's a-okay. But while that's all well and good, the bottom line is that even if two people truly do share the same interests, that isn't really a good grounds for sharing a friendship anyways. I've met no shortage of people over the years who shared my interests and even engaged with them in a similar way to myself, but whom I couldn't be friends with just because our personalities didn't gel correctly. My lifestyle and manner of speaking are extremely laid back, and I never ever stop talking. I can't really talk to people who are uptight or who guard their speech or who get bored easily in long conversations. Far more important than sharing the exact same interests or tastes with me, I'd rather be able to have enjoyable talks about our taste and how they compare and contrast. I'll now recite a poem that I wrote. It's about rocks. It's called I Like Rocks. I like rocks. Pockets full of rocks. Keep me weighed down. Grounded to earth, my frown may undercut my mirth, but I don't front. My first love remained true. Igneous, I named you. Hideous, they framed you. But I see truth in gray, black, and brown. Through clay, dirt, and ground, I found a geodesic memory of Mesozoic calamity, gravity shaping volcanic casing into a beautiful thing. a sedimental gift of history, an igneous and an enigma wrapped in mystery, a small piece of all that's come before, a hardened little story of planetary lore. A deeper kinship than you can understand is the bond that I share with all the rocks of the land. It was my rock. Songs about this rock. I'm a huge fan of both deadpan humor and characters and people who are deeply passionate about something, which is why Adam Johnston is my current favorite YouTuber. Go check that guy out. More importantly, Maud is built on exactly these two characteristics, which made her my new favorite character of Season 4 so far. I've mentioned before how some of my favorite jokes in MLP are the ones where they cut the music and play a dull sound effect over a slow punchline. In this episode, Tank's helicopter sound makes for a fantastic dry noise to set the tone of Maud's arrival. As for Maud meeting the main six, I've been on both sides of the issue. I've got a very tight-knit group of friends, and it can be really difficult for new people to become involved in our group, because it essentially means being friends with and falling into the rhythm of an entire group of people at once. I've also had friends who tried to introduce me to their own friend circles, and I can't remember a single time when I didn't pull the same card as Maud and back away personally. But you know, it doesn't take being super best friends with someone to appreciate when they do awesome things. I've always found it strange actually how people will see someone do something cool and then say how they want to be that person's friend. I, for instance, don't really feel that Errant Signal and I would have the same sense of humor or make for good friends, but I admire his work to no end and have a lot of respect for him. I think that's the real lesson that the main six learn, which is surprisingly unclear. There's such a huge difference between thinking, I don't get along with that person, ergo that person is strange, versus, I don't get along with that person, but I respect and admire them for who they are. It's something we need more of. I know that a lot of people aren't comfortable using the word friend to talk about someone that they aren't that close with, but I'm the type who likes to think of the word friend as meaning friendly, someone you are friendly towards, or who is deserving of friendship, even if it's not something you could give them personally. Friendship is a sort of camaraderie or kinship felt with other people whom I feel are part of the world community that I imagine myself belonging to. Another way of putting it is that any of the main six might have been able to be friends with Maud if they were just a little bit more like her. If they were obsessed with rocks, or if their lives were paced just a little bit slower, they would get along with her. It's not a fundamental difference in character which keeps them from being friends, but a simple difference in lifestyle. The main six do become friends with Maud in the end, but it seems like it's more insofar as being able to imagine themselves in a circumstance in which they could be friends with her. And that about wraps up my thoughts on Maud Pie. Favorite line in the episode? They're all about rocks. Shouts out to Munchie for the background, Hannah for the OC, and TrevCon 2012 for editing the white space out from the OC slides. See you next week.
Daydreams of different lives, forgetting this geodesy, the beauty of Calcity. Is this really
any change, any loss does not make us victims. Others can shake you, surprise you, disappoint you, but they can't prevent you from acting. Taking the situation you're presented with, moving on. No matter where you are in life, no matter your situation, you can always do something. You always have a choice, and that choice can be power.